Good morning. It is April 27th. It's Friday, right? No, it's Thursday. Thursday, April 27th, 2017. I just finished workout number 14. Today was as close to a perfect workout as I think I've had. So the formula for this, I think, is yesterday I was completely hydrated. I drank at least a gallon, probably a gallon and a half maybe. Well, I think I had 3 of these, so that's a gallon and a half, right? This is a half gallon. Yeah, this is a half gallon, 64 ounces. So hydrate the day before, eat correctly on the plan the day before. I get to sleep on time. I got to sleep. I was asleep by about 11. I took my Nightburn amino acid, which is an amino acid without any stimulant. It doesn't stimulate your body. And I take a magnesium pill at night. Magnesium is supposed to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. It promotes restful sleep, and it's a good mineral for just everything for your body. Your muscles need it and stuff. So then I woke up. I actually woke up, believe it or not, I woke up before my alarm. I had my alarm set for 6:30 because I decided I'm tired of waking up in the morning and feeling rushed before my workout. I hate waking up at 7:30 and having to be there by 9 because there's the whole thing of like using the bathroom, making my breakfast. If I wake up at 7:30 and I have to be there by 9, I have no time to do anything except get up, go to the bathroom, maybe make my bed, make my breakfast, and then shower and get ready and go. And I don't like it. It's too rushed, and it causes me to potentially miss my class. I have missed classes before because the schedule is it's almost to the minute. So waking up at 6:30 is so much more comfortable. It gives me time. So I woke up at, I don't know, 6:25 before my alarm. I remember laying there in bed, and I had some weird dream about someone trying to crash. It must have been a wedding, and it didn't really feel like my wedding. It was a weird situation where I was arguing with this person who was a friend. The person it wasn't clear who it was. I almost think that it was like me in my dream imagining this happening, because none of the things added up. It didn't look like my wedding. It wasn't somebody I knew. I couldn't picture their face. But I was explaining to somebody how they have to RSVP to the wedding so that we know they're coming and there's a plate ready for them and whatever. And this person, for some reason, I knew that this person was there to get drunk. So I don't know if it was a friend who, at the time of the wedding, there was something going on, you know, someone who I won't name, who will probably never see this video, but who at the time had a drinking problem, and we were anticipating dealing with that. So maybe I have some weird, you know, emotional tension over that. Who knows? It was just the weirdest dream, but I remember laying there in bed trying to explain to somebody why you RSVP to something and then why you don't try to show up crashing the party later, why that's uncalled for, why, you know, there's a point to people sending out RSVPs. Anyway, I was clearly arguing with someone in my mind, and I remember waking up and trying to puzzle it out, like, what is going on with who am I fake arguing with, or who am I? This is so weird. And then my alarm went off like a minute later. So that means my body is completely rested. My body got as much rest as it needed. 7.5 hours from 11 o'clock to 6:30, 7.5 hours of solid sleep. I don't remember. I think I did wake up one time. I checked my clock, and it was like 4. So I went back to sleep for another hour and a half. So that's part of the formula. You get hydrated the day before, you eat well, you get your supplements, the magnesium, you sleep well, you wake up. I took my fat burner, which sometimes the fat burner supplement, you're supposed to take 30 minutes before you eat and then eat, and it's supposed to activate your fat burning process. And a lot of times I can't, like, especially when I wake up too late. If I wake up at 7:30, if I waited 30 minutes, then I'd be eating, you know, as I'm leaving out the door. Like, it's, so a lot of times I don't get the fat burner ahead of time, but today I did. I got the fat burner in. It's, oh, I don't know, say 7. Had half an hour. I had some black coffee. So right away my energy gets up. Then I eat my breakfast, and while I'm eating my breakfast, I feel this like surge of energy already. I can already feel like the food is, I think it's my digestion kicking in and my bloodstream taking in the carbohydrates, because in the morning you've been starving your body of carbohydrates for, you know, more than 12 hours, I think. So if my last meal with carbohydrates was at 1 p.m., so it's more than 12. By 1 a.m., that's 12 hours. And then add another 6 on top of that. So it's, your body hasn't had carbohydrates in 18 hours. And so you're I guess maybe it's the chemical that I'm feeling, the insulin. Your blood like floods with insulin to uptake that carbohydrate and give it to the muscles, because your body's demanding it. So I'm eating my breakfast. I have egg whites with spinach and oatmeal, and already I can feel this like surge of energy. And it's a combination of, it's like your body feels good. It's this good feeling comes over your body, and energy just starts coming out, and it was amazing. It really was. I don't know if I've experienced it quite that strongly before. So maybe it's partly that I did get the fat burner in 30 minutes ahead of time, and that's taking effect, you know. The one I take just has green tea and green coffee extract. It's natural. It's not like a, you know, a fake amphetamine or anything like that. It's not supposed to be caffeinated, but it's derived from things that do have caffeine. So, and then the black coffee has caffeine. So it's a combination of, you know, my body, you know, the caffeine going to work, everything coming together at once. So I'm thinking, today's probably going to be a good workout. I'm probably going to feel really good and strong. I was a little sore from arm day, particularly my shoulders, my triceps and my shoulders, my biceps a little bit, but not so much. So then on the way to the gym, as I'm driving, I start thinking, okay, what's one of the hardest things in the morning to get started when you work out? One of the hardest things is to get your breathing to activate quickly, to get up to, you know, where your blood is starting to be oxygenated and your lungs are shocked awake, you know. Usually it happens, if you run, it probably happens in the first 15-20 seconds of running. When you're rowing, it takes about, you know, 50 meters, or it takes like 30 seconds to happen on the rower. And that's one of the hard parts. It's something that's hard. I remember it actually being painful early on. It's actually painful for your heart to start slamming blood through your vessels, and they don't dilate very well, and your lungs are weak. You know, your diaphragm isn't trained yet, and it's not painful anymore, but it is still like, okay, come on, kick it in. You know, you're willing your body to start moving, all your parts to start working together. So I was thinking that in the car, okay, that's one of the hardest things to get me ready to work out, is like getting the breathing going. So I started doing some breathing exercises. One of the exercises I do is called dragon's breath, or the breath of the dragon, I think is the full term, but same thing. And this is something I do if I'm falling asleep while I'm driving, if I'm falling asleep at work, which hasn't happened in years. It would happen occasionally when I would do graveyards at Bisbee PD, particularly when I first got on the graveyard shift. And breath of the dragon is, you're supposed to time yourself for 1 minute, and it's kind of hyperventilating, I think, is what you're really doing, but it really works. You have to go hard for a full minute. That's the way to make it actually work. So you breathe in and out through your nose rapidly. And you're actually pumping your diaphragm. You're actually making your diaphragm work hard. Because when your diaphragm actually starts going, it starts to need blood just like any other muscle. So this is a way where you can sit in place in the car or in a chair or whatever and kind of like get your blood circulation moving. Because that's really what's happening when you're tired, is that your brain, I mean, unless you're just fatigued and you need to sleep, you know, if you're ready to sleep, that's a different kind of tired. If you're drowsy, you're just sitting there, it's because your brain isn't getting enough oxygen. Your body has gone to a lower state of activity. Your circulation slows down. I think it's because your body is sort of anticipating that you're going to sleep soon. You're very sedentary. So this is a way a muscle inside your body starts getting a workout and it starts asking for blood. Well, that gets your heart going just a little bit, and that starts moving blood. And as a result, your brain can fill with oxygen. So the key with this I do this quite a bit. I mean, I'll be in the car sometimes and Talia will be with me, and she'll hear me just start doing it. And she knows, okay, he's getting drowsy. So you time yourself for 1 minute. And 1 minute of doing that, if you try it, it's challenging. Like, it's the last 30 seconds of it, it's you got to push. And then 1 minute you just breathe deep and steady. I mean, you can kind of go back to just breathing normal, but you want to keep, it's just like high intensity training. They say, you know, a sprint, so you're sprinting, and then what they call steady state, which is just steady, not back to like breathing slow, but deep, even breaths. And you can even make these a little bit faster too, and that's still, you're still helping the effect. Keep watching the time. Flips to a minute. You've done that for a minute. Go back to Breath of the Dragon. Back to the rapid. And you keep doing this a couple of times in a row. I think the most I've ever done it would be maybe 4 times. After 2 in a row, you start to feel the effect. Definitely by 3, if you do 3 of them in a row, which would be a total of 6 minutes, you can feel that you're exercising your body. You can feel like, oh, my diaphragm is getting a little workout. I'm actually, I don't want to say it will make you sweat. It won't make you sweat, but it gives you that feeling, like, if you know what it's like right before you're about to break a sweat, that feeling of like a little bit of a lift, like, okay, things are moving in there, you know. So it's a really powerful tool, and I use it a lot. Actually, I haven't had to use it, thinking about it now, I haven't had to use it in the car. It's been since before the challenge. I think now with the challenge, when I'm awake, and then I sleep really hard. I sleep deep. So I haven't had to use Dragon's Breath in a long time. But I did it this morning on the way back to my original point. I completely got off track there. So I'm doing the Breath of the Dragon in the car, and I'm like, okay, I can feel it. Feeling good. So I walk into the gym, and I'm like, I'm feeling ready. The only thing I could have done to make it a little bit better would have been a little bit of stretching at home. Actually, I did do legs up the wall this morning. My roommate was in the bathroom, so I couldn't, because if I wake up at 6:30, he's getting ready for work. He has to be at work by 7, I believe, or 7:30 maybe. So that's one disadvantage of waking up a little earlier. Anyway, I'm waiting to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, what can I do with this time? I was going to meditate, but the urge to go to the bathroom is too distracting. So instead I did legs up the wall. So I did do some leg stretching this morning, so maybe that contributed to it. So I get in the gym ready to work out hard. It was anterior, what was it today? Anterior cardio. So like stuff for the back of the body, but fast-paced. And in my check-in, my non-scale victory today was I was able to do, let me get this camera more stabilized. Today I was able to do a 4-minute round without stopping, like going hard the whole round, which was, to me, was fantastic. It felt so good. There were a couple of times. So what we were doing was jumping jacks, and I do jumping jacks modified still. What I usually do is I'll do 10, maybe 15 of them regular, and then when my knees start to hurt, my ankles, my feet, then I drop to modified. And modified is just stepping out with one leg at a time. Step out, step out. Step out, step in, and the whole time your arms are going like this. So, jumping jacks alternating with plank flybacks. So this is like you're down on the ground with a plank, in a plank, you have dumbbell in your hand, and one at a time you're flying back like this. And you're supposed to bring the dumbbell like level with your body. And those are pretty hard. They're not extremely hard for me. I mean, I had 15-pound dumbbells, which by now I'm consistently staying above. Like I haven't used a 10-pound dumbbell in weeks. I use 15-pound. I do drop down to 12.5s occasionally when it's a lot of reps, and especially after, like, I'll start with, you know, the 15 pounds, and I'll do 30 reps the first time. You come back to those 30 reps, and you do maybe 10, and you're like, your muscle muscle's already fatigued, so you drop down to a lower weight so you can keep going. So I'm at 12.5s, 15s, 20s, and 25s for most of my exercises now, which is an improvement over the beginning. In the beginning, it was like 7s, 10s, 15s. So I alternated those two exercises for 4 minutes straight, and I didn't stop. And there were a couple of times I remember, like, okay, I'm gonna take a pause here. I'm gonna pause and like stop and just take a quick breather, 2 or 3 seconds. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna stop. So I actually mentally pushed myself, and it was brutal. I mean, the last 2 minutes was really challenging. Like, I can honestly say, like, I was pushing hard, and I did have that thought of, like, I want to finish these 4 minutes. Now, none of the other 4-minute rounds was I able to do that. That was an early one. I think it was the second round. Yeah, it was the second one. So I was all warmed up and everything, and that was awesome. So that felt really good. The rest of the workout was great too. Most of the other stuff I was able to do pretty steady. A lot of stuff I could do 4 minutes straight through, but so many of the exercises bug my back a lot, bug my knees. It's just this thing of, like, I could push through it and deal with the pain, but I know I would injure myself. And honestly, I don't feel like I should be working out that hard at this point, where it's like, oh, this hurts so bad, but I'm going to do another 10 and work through the pain. Like, no, you listen to your body. Your body's giving you that pain for a reason. So, but overall, yeah, an amazing workout. I wanted to talk quickly about some funny things happened today, which sometimes people at the gym annoy me really badly. And I've talked about it a few times. And I started thinking, like, okay, I understand now why some people are like lone wolf workout, lone wolf exercise people. People who like run by themselves, go, train for marathons alone, or work out in the gym completely alone and, hate it when people are nearby, whatever, or go ride their bike alone for hundreds of miles, So we come in and it's a different trainer. His name's Hector, and he's from the North location. He's filling in for Paulie. And there's just something about him. He's just like obnoxious. It's hard to describe, but the way he talked, like, he talked really fast. Just something weird about the way he described stuff and how fast he talked, and just like, he just seemed hyper, and that was annoying. That was it. It's not a big deal, but it's just like, you're used to the trainers you're used to, and this guy was just a little obnoxious. No big deal. I'm sure a couple of workouts I'd get used to him or whatever, but brand new person, okay, he's talking super fast. And the way he demonstrated the exercises, I felt was not as thorough as the other trainers. And maybe I'm being critical of him because it is my first time. It was our first time training together. I don't know. So that's how the day started. That was kind of annoying. So then we partner up, and I partner up with the older lady. Lupita is her name. I've never partnered up with her before, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, possibly this is a person who's going to need guidance. Like, this has happened to me before. I don't know for sure if it's an age thing. I don't want to say it's an age thing. I always have to be careful about how I say this. I'm trying not to offend any particular age group. It's not necessarily that she's older. It's not necessarily that she's Hispanic and maybe there's a language barrier. And it's not necessarily that she's not a fitness person. It's maybe a combination of all the things. Or scratch all that, because I'm assuming all of that. And maybe I shouldn't assume too much about any person. It's judgmental of me. Maybe she just doesn't focus very well. Maybe she just doesn't follow along with when people explain things. I don't know. Or it's all of those things. Who knows? She had trouble figuring out, even after he goes through and explains it, and it's like, any questions? And Lupita, nobody raises their hand and is like, I don't really understand. Everyone's just like, yeah. And it's really not that complicated. It's 2 exercises, like I just described with the jumping jacks to plank flyouts. One person is the rep, the clock they call it, the rep person. So this person has to do 30 jumping jacks, or whatever it was. I think it was 25 jumping jacks. And there's 5 groups of these 2 exercises. So in every group there's an A and a B. The A person is the clock. They do the rep count. They do 50 of whatever it is. 50 dumbbell, heavy dumbbell swings, whatever it is. The other person goes steady, does the other exercise without stopping the entire time until the other person hits their number. And then you just reverse. You just flip-flop back and forth. So it took her... I mean, honestly, it wasn't that bad, but it's still, to me, it's still annoying. It's one of those annoying things. It's like the first one. Okay, what do we do? And it's like, or she's like, I asked her, which one do you want to be, A or B? She's like, I'll be B. You be A. Okay. So what do I do? I'm like, well, you're B, so you're going to be doing the, I don't even remember what the first one was. I think it was like, I don't remember. Predator jacks or something. I said, I'm going to do the 100-meter sprint, which I do on the rower. And you're going to do those until I'm done. So, okay. She figures the first one out. Then the second one it was like 2 or 3 times she was like, which one is this? It was like she needed extra help, and instead of turning to the trainer, she turned to me, which is not really that big of a deal, but it is a little bit annoying, right? Just a little bit annoying. Obnoxious that that the person... I wish sometimes I would get paired up with somebody who was like an expert, or I don't know. I shouldn't complain. We got through it just fine. The third thing that happened, and this one's really annoying, and this person should know better. This is not a, any kind of issue with her being older or any whatever. There's no thing there that's behind it. This is just a person who needs to mind their own business. So we're on the row. I'm on the rower. And this lady sits down on the left of me. She starts rowing. And she's like, oh, this one doesn't work. I was like, yeah, the screen's broken. And she looks over at me, and she sees the way I'm rowing, and she's like, you need to be lower. And I was like, what? She was like, she had the rowing paddle, the fake oars, whatever you call it, in her hand. She's like, it needs to be lower, or you're going to hurt your back. And I was just like, okay. And I keep rowing just the way I am, which is the way I've been rowing for 16 weeks. I haven't hurt my back, and it's the way I've seen people row. None of the trainers ever came over. And so I keep going, and she's like, yeah, you need to, no, you're rowing too high. You'll hurt your back. She's like, trust me. That's what happened to me. And I was just like, okay, that's all I said. And I just kept rowing exactly how I was rowing. So I don't know if she, I don't know. It really irked me. Now, I know she's probably trying to be helpful. I understand that. She wasn't trying to be annoying. But it is being nosy and like forward of her to look over at someone and be like, you're doing that wrong. Like, you're not a trainer, you know? And honestly, I feel like if I was doing it wrong, one, I probably would have injured myself because I've rowed hundreds and hundreds of meters, thousands of meters, and the trainers come by and watch us rowing. And early on when we were rowing, they did give me a couple of corrections early on. All the corrections they said was like, you need to try to get the full range of motion, like go as far forward as you can and come back as far as you can. And so me rowing up high like this is I'm leaning back a little bit and I'm pulling the paddle a little bit further, and I bump it against my chest. I bump my arms against my chest like this. So, and none of the trainers ever came back around and were like, no, you need to have it lower. You're going to hurt your back. Right? And we're talking about dozens of times of them walking by checking form. So why didn't that come up before? If truly I'm rowing wrong or whatever, you know. So what? I'm going to let it go. She was trying to be nice and trying to, you know, help someone out and maybe prevent an injury in her mind. But I think to me, it's just nosy and very, it's like she's like older white lady. It's like a white person thing to do, an older white lady habit. Like it's for some reason, it's a particular kind of person that does that just like looks at someone else and is like, you're doing that wrong. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're a rowing expert? The trainer didn't tell us we had a rowing expert in class today. I wasn't aware. I'm sorry, I'll row lower. So that really bugged me. So I just wanted to talk about the 3 things that, you know, irritated me about today's workout, even though it was awesome. Honestly, it was awesome. I felt so good, and I got through all the exercises, still ignoring all this stuff of like, man, these people are obnoxious, and poor Lupita. I don't fault her. I mean, honestly, saying that it's because she's older, because maybe she's Hispanic, because she's, what was the other thing I said? Oh, because she's never worked out before. Maybe assuming those 3 things, I kind of feel bad. Maybe it's not any of those things. She just has trouble focusing, or a memory. It may be a memory thing, you know, so I shouldn't be so judgmental. So, Lupita, I apologize. But that other lady, who I have no idea what her name is, I don't care to her name, you need to butt out. You are being nosy and being forward by mentioning that to me. It's none of your business. I mean, okay, I get it, you're trying to help me prevent injury, but I'm 16 weeks in, I haven't hurt my back yet, and none of the trainers have told me. And me being who I am, not wanting to confront someone in the gym, especially while I'm rowing and breathing hard, I don't want to be like, well, actually, that's not who I am. So I just said, okay, and I kept going. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, I could have just ignored her too, but anyway, that's my check-in for the day. Feeling pretty good about it. Today I'm going to carb cycle. Today I'm going to eat carbohydrates with every single meal, which is a weird thing to think about, but I'm going to do it. And then for the next 3 days, so that'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to eat no carbs. So that's going to be different. We'll see how that goes. So wish me luck. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think I'll do fine. And that should help me bump the weight down. So, all right, I'll check in tomorrow.